Story 1. I'd say about 10 years ago, a couple of the guys and I were skipping through talking nonsense. Randomly, one of the lads exposed himself in a room with 4 other guys and started touching himself. We were all freaked out, and he only said it was for a laugh. Bizarre. Story 2. So I don't do this often and only do it when I'm single. I currently have a girlfriend, so I'm not going to fondle my balls for others to see. The reason I did it before was because it's pretty exciting and has actually worked with getting a few girls to do the same. I usually do it with something on in the background because it can take a while flicking through all the other people. A bit ironic in a sense. So a while back, I was flicking through hoping a girl would agree to stick around and we could chat, and with some luck, she appears. We start talking and I was pretty blown away by how cute she was. One sentence led to another and we were quickly engaging together on camera, and it was exciting. Think of it as a different category of adult content. You may take a short while to find what suits your mood, amateur, specific preferences, whatever you're into. To me, this is like amateur with a touch of personal because they're doing it for you personally, with no payments required. That's what makes it different from going on a typical webcam site. Carrying on. Me and this girl finish our business and we both decided to just carry on talking. This wasn't my first time, and usually, both parties exit and never talk of it to anyone. This time, it led to an actual relationship. We talked all night and exchanged Skype names and just carried on talking every night. She was from the other side of the world, literally. It turned out that she was moving to a nearby country for university soon, and it meant I could visit her a lot easier. So she did, and I went to see her. I got to see a lot of a small part of the world with a really wonderful person. We ended it because even though she was closer, it wasn't close enough, and we both needed that affection from someone closer, so we moved on from the relationship. I'm in another one now, and I haven't been on the chat site to do that since, but I can't say I won't do it again if I ever turn single. It's pretty fun when you're not flicking through inappropriate content, but it just makes that interaction a little more interesting. I can't speak for all individuals who do this, but in short, I just think it's more fun than watching standard pre-made adult content. Hope this gives you some perspective. Story 3. I recently found this article that tries to find an explanation for the frequent use of explicit pictures. I think this behavior is similar. The most important reason to do this is the hope that they get similar images in return. Story 4. When I was 15 or 16, I thought it was hilarious to start fake crying and say, "Dad, please come home. Mom says she's sorry." Every time I saw an old man behaving inappropriately on Omegle or chat roulette. Story 5. Since there is no actual answer, I will add my own thoughts as well. I'm not a user of Omegle, but I do watch many recordings from there. Most people sell Omegle videos on adult sites, and since they have many followers, I guess it's quite profitable. I'm not sure, as I haven't bought anything from there. I bet there are many people doing it for the thrill of experiencing something more real. You know, like viewing content of someone you know is more exciting than seeing random people you have never interacted with. Even for me, watching videos that I know are not scripted and noticing little bits of personality is exciting enough to look for more of this content. Story 6. Fine. I'll answer it. It's essentially a form of the same thought process that goes into when a woman is exposing herself or doing something overtly sexual for the purpose of sexual gratification. It goes further than being simply aroused. It stems from the desire to be appreciated and seen as a sexual object because men aren't viewed like that most of the time, or that feeling isn't felt. Also, it is to escape the feeling of loneliness and isolation, to maybe have hope for another companion to appreciate you and desire you for the sexual being that you are. That's why. Story 7. When I was single, I would do this. I don't think it's wrong as long as you don't reveal yourself to anyone without consent, which, of course, many people do anyway. It sounds odd at first, but it always made me feel better about doing it because I would essentially ask people if they wanted to engage in mutual masturbation and their age, and only after they said they were over 18 and agreed would I reveal myself. At that point, it becomes a pretty standard, healthy kink. Nothing creepy or gross like some people in this thread have said, as long as it's done respectfully like anything else sexual. Personally, I enjoyed it because I'm an exhibitionist and love showing my body and getting off for people, and I love watching people as well. There are actually more women on there than people would expect doing the exact same thing, but obviously way more men by a long shot. Story 8. At the time, I really didn't think it was used for anything else. But that was years ago. Maybe it's more widely popular now. But in its early days, it was pretty much just explicit content and people who wanted to see it. Story 9. I think it's because these dudes like to flash people or hope to find a girl who will do the same. I personally like to go on Omegle in amphitheater classes so I can sit next to a female friend to get them excited, just to turn my camera for the poor guy to see hundreds of people judging him. Story 10. I'll bite. I did it mostly because I was feeling aroused. I probably have a bit of an exhibitionist streak in me too. It felt so fun and wrong to have anyone watch me engage in self-pleasure, guys or girls. I'm not homosexual, but I experimented with both simply because we were having fun. I used to sit there for hours, but over the years, I ran into a lot of girls who were interested in playing as well. It was like a game to try to get them to undress. And if I succeeded, it was like the best orgasm I've ever had. I'd run into fellow teenagers, adults, mature women, and others. If or when I'm single, I sometimes go back about once a year to try to find another woman to play with, but I keep my camera off until I find someone interesting. I haven't in a long, long time. Horny teenagers do foolish things. Omegle is still my favorite adult content genre. The anonymity of it all is just so intoxicatingly alluring. Feel free to ask questions, though. Story 11. The other day, my roommates and I, 5 in total, cheered a guy to completion. It was weird and impressive, seeing as how they had 10 eyes on them and still managed to finish. Story 12. I did it once. To be honest, I was looking for someone to try camera sex with, but I didn't know where to go for free, so I tried Omegle. Eventually, I gave up because it just felt like it wasn't me. I ended up finishing in front of a sleazy Japanese businessman in some anonymous gay chat room. Felt wrong on so many levels. 1 star on Yelp. I would not do it again. Story 13. It's a fetish. I haven't used Omegle video chat for random conversations. I have chatted with people I already know, and lots of them are horny men. Basically, horny men dominate the site. You could get a regular conversation, but it takes a while. Story 14. It's really hard to talk about. It was a bad time in my life. That might help explain a lack of responses to this post. You can probably read my post history for clues, but I don't really have the energy to explain it now. If I feel up to it, I might type it out later if I feel like diving into it. The summary will basically be that I've been addicted to pornography for half my life, and it gets boring. The need for human connection crossed with no desire to go out in real life due to depression. Story 15. It's pure exhibitionism and voyeurism. No strings attached, and no consequence. I live for it. Also, why the assumption that everybody is straight? Some men like men. Story 16. Loneliness, exhibitionism, the feeling of acceptance, instant gratification, taking back the power in one's own sexuality. Especially if dating and sex aren't currently options for them at the moment, anxiety, stress, the thrill, the one and done impersonal nature of it all. At least that's why I've done it. I should mention, I've never skipped through while masturbating on camera. Only speaking to why I've gone on there in hopes of things turning sexual. Story 17. I found a girl I thought was a dude on Omegle about 7 to 8 years ago during a snowstorm. She's been one of my best friends, believe it or not, my whole life. We've had our moments of distance because we live too far away. But one day I'll meet her. I'll be 23 in a week, and I couldn't imagine my life without meeting her. Story 18. When I used the site, I usually didn't just have my genitalia exposed while skipping through people, so I don't know if I technically count, I guess. I would wear just boxers, though, so it's like my intentions were not particularly well hidden. Honestly, from my experience, starting with being exposed often resulted in being quickly skipped over when I did match up with a woman, so I stopped doing it. The point, I suppose, would be to find women willing to engage with me. It's sort of like the appeal of watching a webcam show. But for me, way better since the girl is just doing it for you and not for money. Plus, I don't know, it was fun and exciting. There was a certain appeal to it all. The idea of meeting a random woman through Omegle and often, within a few minutes, seeing them strip down and get naked. It was a unique experience. Story 19. I haven't and will never do this, but one time I was going through video chat and I saw the biggest dick I've ever seen in my life. A literal 12-incher. A really big black cock. Story 20. I was hoping some attractive ladies would be willing to reciprocate. It actually worked once or twice. There was even one time I was sort of taking a break from that, having had no success, which I'll admit was most of the time, but I'm bisexual, so seeing other men didn't bother me, where I had an actual conversation with a girl who lived a few cities away. We continued to talk even after that. She never found out why I was on there in the first place. We met up one time and I stayed with her family for a week. It was one of the cutest experiences ever. Nothing sexual came of it. But all these years later, we're still in touch, and if I'm ever up there, I sometimes babysit for her. It's been a long time since I did that, and was probably about 14 at the time. Story 21. I remember when I was like 12 or 13, friends at school told me to check out Omegle. This was back before schools banned it. Anyways, it seemed like every stream was some old fat guy doing something inappropriate. It was gross. I never really got back on there again, and I'm sure it hasn't changed. Story 22. Well, I used to do it years ago. I was in my early 20s, still a virgin, and could not get a woman to pay attention to me. Looking back, I did it for validation. Just having people see me as a sexual being was rewarding to me. At the same time, I was trying to improve myself. I dropped about 90 pounds and had 2 different women in a couple of months see me on Omegle and start masturbating themselves, which gave me confidence and helped me approach women. This got me dates, which taught me I needed to change my ideas and perspective on relationships, leading to a year of introspection and experimentation. That led to me growing as a person and finding a girlfriend who has helped change me for the better. It sounds weird, but jerking off on Omegle in a small part helped me in the end to find a happy, healthy relationship. Story 23. Well, here we go. I used to go to Omegle for this one. But hear me out, I am in a relationship now, so I don't really feel the need to. Also, not just randomly indulging, most of the time you play a little truth or dare, and this is important, you ask first or it escalates on its own. Even if you found a girl who would be interested but you just acted like a creep in a park, she would skip you right ahead, and to be honest, who would not? If it escalates, then you have a good time, but this is very rare. Well, I have a six-pack, but I am still lower 7 on looks. By rare, I mean once a month if you are there an hour a day. Bodybuilders have it easy, man, or those with big physiques. Anyway, please, if you decide to try it, don't just show off. There are plenty of guys there, and we don't need to see your pride or girls or even kids. Have a chat, play a little game, and then ask. It's not that hard. Story 24. Serious answer. Because masturbating is hilarious. Also, why do something alone when you can share it in a safe place? Masturbating in front of people feels good. Unfortunately, there are not many places to explore the experience that aren't illegal or happening in a consensual relationship. The internet and platforms like Chatroulette and Omegle are great places to safely try things out. Think about it this way. About half of all men are masturbating at one time, and it's only reasonable that a small percentage do it on camera, and another small percentage do it on unsolicited camera. Also, final point, you hear about a site where you can masturbate to random people with no consequences. You are going to try it. Most of the people masturbating on Omegle today may never do it again, but every day brings new individuals, new intrigue, new imagination. Lastly, let there be these places in the world. A safe space where anyone can masturbate to strangers safely and allow strangers to see them. Story 25. Never know when a spontaneous sexual connection with another human may happen. There's a thrill to meeting another anonymous person, even if neither of you is attracted to the other. And it's exciting to think that someone may simply enjoy me. As a man, I don't get many compliments on my appearance. Story 26. I was at a Faith No More concert and Mike had one of these chat programs on the big screens. The people behaving inappropriately were quickly skipped past, but they were hilarious. Story 27. Porn is porn. Interaction is a whole other level. Now, you could pay for it, then you have all the choice in the world, but that feels bad and the dynamic is off. If you don't want to pay, then you have to click through a lot of inappropriate content, but the reward can be huge. Interaction from a like-minded woman. Low risk, high reward, minimal effort, porn in the background, etc. It's extremely logical when you think about it. Story 28. I never did back out from the start, but I did search Omegle for virtual interactions. Also, being a single bisexual guy during the Omegle days was pretty great. Story 29. I've done it before. Simple, really. Nobody is going to see it normally, and if someone sees your exposed private part, you're typically already feeling aroused. I don't do it anymore because now I have people who would like to see it.